Hello everybody, this is your main man Keith here from Keith Plays PS4 927. Happy Saturday to all my awesome viewers on this awesome channel. We are in Game 3 of the 12-13 Miami Heat for the Eastern Conference Finals. And the series is tied up 1-1. The 88-89 Pistons won last episode 94-81 against us at the American Airlines Arena. So we're going to be in Auburn Hills, Michigan at the place of Auburn Hills for the next 2 episodes. And possibly after that, which there is going to be a Game 5, will be probably played in Miami. So I'd like to see a 6 or 7 game series for this Eastern Conference Finals matchup. So without a further ado, I'm going to show you the uniforms and we'll see you at tip-off. Anyway, the 12-13 Miami Heat are going to be wearing the red alternate 09 through 17 uniforms. Meanwhile, for the Detroit Pistons, they're going to be wearing their classic home 82 through 96 home uniforms. So without a further ado, we'll see you guys at tip-off. Alright, it is tip-off time here at the place of Auburn Hills. And the Detroit Pistons win the tip-off. So Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons are going to have possession of the basketball. They're going to pass it over to Joe Dumars. So Joe Dumars is going to pass over to Mark Aguirre, and then Bill Laimbeer is going to pass it over to Aguirre, and then Joe Dumars. 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and Dumars scores it in just on time. So 14 points per game for Dumars throughout this playoffs. And LeBron James, the Akron, Ohio native, gets that in there for 2 points. So it's now going to be a 2-2 tied game. Mark Aguirre with that nice layup in mind. And it looks like Shane Battier is going to pass it over to the Akron, Ohio native. And I'm doing a three-pointer for LeBron James. He gets it from behind the arc. So it's now going to be a 5-4 Miami Heat lead. So now Isaiah Thomas losing the basketball. LeBron James picking it up, making the steal, and he is going to drive it in the paint for 2 points. And it's now 7-4. And LeBron James so far has scored all the points for the Miami Heat. So now we're going to go back behind the arc. Excellent release. He was wide open there, made that nice three, and it's now going to be 10-4. So Isaiah Thomas out on the court for the Pistons. Will he actually attempt a three, or will he just simply go drive it in with a layup in the paint? The answer is he drives it in the paint. So we're going to pass it over to Bosch, and then I'm going to use some DWade, knocking a three down, but it was very late release, but he did manage to score it in. So it's now 13-6. Rodman gets it in there, and it's now 15-8. LeBron James scoring it in for 2. He has now 12 points in the episode. DWade has 3. You guys just saw his three-pointer. And now Isaiah Thomas, what is he going to do? He's actually going to score it in for 2. So it's now going to be 15-10. We're going to pass it to the other side of the court. 21.6 points per game for Isaiah Thomas. He has been one of the scoring leaders for this Pistons team throughout this whole playoff. So Isaiah Thomas, what's he going to do? Going to drive it in for 2. Now it's going to be 17-12, so we're going to pass it over to Shane Battier, and there is a foul on Dennis Rodman, so it's a shooting foul, and Battier is going to go to the free-throw line, and Battier, the Duke product, gets it in for 1 more point, so it's now going to be 20-12. They're going to pass it over to John Long, and then over to Vinnie Johnson. So Johnson passing it over to Long. He's going to pass it over to Darius Miller, and Miller knocks down a three. So this is going to be the first three-pointer of the game for the Detroit Pistons. So now we got Shane Battier out on the court getting this one in. Now it's 22-15. All right, 15 seconds are left in the first quarter here in Auburn Hills, Michigan, which is in Oakland County, Michigan. Detroit is in Wayne, by the way, and it's just about 30 minutes west of Detroit. So this ends the first quarter here in Auburn Hills, Michigan. The Miami Heat lead this by 7 on the road. All right, it is now 25-18. I'm going to pass it over to Mike Miller and then Battier. And LeBron James is going to get this one in for two. So Battier is going to pick up the assist. And it's now 27-18 at the moment. So now Johnson with possession of the basketball. So now Ray Allen makes that steal. And we're going to knock down a three for Ray Allen. He drills it and gets a three out of that one. So it's now 30-18. So now Johnson has possession of the basketball. So now Johnson is going to pass it over to Rick Mahorn. Johnson is going to get the assist. So Rashad Lewis going to pass it to the other side of the court to LeBron James. He scores it in. Now it's 32-20. So now Johnson is out on the court, going to pass over to James Edwards, gets it in there, so it's now 32-22. LeBron James going to pass it over to Battier, and there is a foul there. It's on Rick Mahorn. It's a shooting foul, so now Shane Battier is going to go to the free-throw line, make that first attempt in, and he's going to make that second attempt in as well. So it's now 34-22 at the moment. And now Vinnie Johnson going to pass it over to Rodman, makes that dunk happen. And it is now 34-24. LeBron James going to go through the paint, getting this one in for two. Now it's 36-24. 20 points for LeBron James already. And now Vinnie Johnson going to pass over to Bill Laimbeer, dunks that in. The Heat are going to take a timeout. All right, it is now 40-34. Field goals wise, both teams are at 100%. So there is a foul on Isaiah Thomas. It's a reach-in foul. So we still have possession of the basketball. So we're going to pass it over to DWade and then Chalmers. And Bosch picks it up, then he's going to pass it over to Chalmers, and then Wade knocks down a three for the Heat, and the Pistons are going to take a timeout, so we're actually going to do a minor substitution here. All right, now Isaiah Thomas is out on the court for the Pistons, so now Isaiah Thomas, where is he going to take the direction of the basketball? He's going to pass it over to Dennis Rodman. Rodman passing it over to Thomas. And now Thomas is going to pass it over to Rodman. And Isaiah Thomas is going to get an assist. So it's now going to be 43-36. So now LeBron James going to attempt a dunk there. But it turns out Rodman gets a shooting foul. So now LeBron James is going to go to the free-throw line. He gets that in there. It is now 46-36 at this point of the game. And now Joe Dumars losing the basketball. James firing it to Wade, and Wade is going to make that dunk. It's now going to be 48-36. So the Pistons are down by 12. And it is Chalmers going to pass over to Wade. And we get this in there with 28.8 seconds to go. Within the last minute and a half, we were on a 12-4 run. So that makes a difference in how fast of a scoring team we are. And Isaiah Thomas gets that in there for two. So it's now going to be 52 if LeBron James gets this one in. And I'm pretty sure he will, and he does. So it's now 52-38 at the moment. So now Joe Dumars losing the basketball, then picking it back up. So now DeMars getting this one in there. And it's now 1.4 seconds to go. So now James doesn't score it in, and it is halftime. So 52-40 is the halftime score. Pistons are trailing by 12. All right, LeBron James has 25 points, 1 assist, and 4 steals in the first half. So now Mario Chalmers steps up and gets it in there for 2. So LeBron James has scored nearly half of the points in this first half. So now Isaiah Thomas with that dunk. And with his contributing factor, I think he'll wind up being player of the game. Now Wade makes the dunk there. And this is now like the greatest show on court for this 12-13 Miami Heat team. So now Isaiah Thomas, there's a foul on DWade. So Detroit still has possession. They're going to pass over to Bill Laimbeer. So now Laimbeer makes a spin move in the paint. Gets it in there. So it's now Rashad Lewis. And then LeBron James going to pass it over to Dwayne Wade. You get that in there for 2. And it's now 58-44 with 3:08 to go in the third. And it's now Isaiah Thomas with possession of the basketball. Going to pass it over to Rodman. And gets that in there. It's now 58-46. So they're going to pass it over to LeBron James in the paint. Gets it in there. It's now 60-46. 27 points for LeBron James already. And Isaiah Thomas was 16. They are both the scoring leaders for both teams. Alright, so now John Long has possession of the basketball. He's going to pass it over to Joe Dumars. And Dumars is actually going to get this one in the paint. So it's now 60-48. Alright, we did some minor depth chart substitutions there. So now Dwayne Wade is going to pass it over to Chris Bosh. And Bosh is going to make a slam for the Heat. And it's now 62-48 at this point of the game. So now Joe Dumars has possession of the basketball. So now Joe Dumars, he's going to take it over to John Long. So now Dumars is actually going to pick up an assist there. So it's now 62-50. Wade going to fire it over to James. And it's now 64-50. So Dwayne Wade is going to pick up an assist for the Heat. So now Joe Dumars makes that spin once added. So now Dumars, where's he going to take this direction to? He's going to actually get this one in there. And it's now 64-52. Dumars only has 8 points tonight. So James making a slam. And it's now 66-52. So it's a minute and a half left in the third. There's 1:30 to go. Bill Laimbeer going to pass it over to Vinnie Johnson. So now Vinnie Johnson has possession. He is actually going to take this one to the paint and gets a layup on that one. So now Mike Miller going to pass it over to Wade. So now Wade is going to make that dunk happen. It's now 68-54. So the Heat are up by 14 at this point. So the Pistons are trying to catch up here. And Detroit is going to take a timeout. So we're actually going to take a break here. Alright, it is now 72-64 with 18 seconds to go here in Auburn Hills. And LeBron James hits a 3. He has not shot a 3 since the first quarter. So now Isaiah Thomas, what will Isaiah Thomas do? Make that spin move, passing it over to Rodman, gets it in there. And it's now 66-75. So we're going to use LeBron James, hit a 3, and the buzzer beater sounds to end the third. So it's now 78-66. Miami is taking the lead on the road by 12 points. Alright, Isaiah Thomas out on the court, going to pass it over to Dennis Rodman, makes that dunk happen. It is now 78-68. So Dwayne Wade going to pass it over to Rashad Lewis and then Mario Chalmers. and then Bosch, and then passing it over to Battier. And I'm actually going to use DWade to hit a 3, and it's now 81 to 60 to 68. And now it's Isaiah Thomas with possession of the basketball. He is actually going to make a spin, passing it over to Rodman. So now Rodman gonna get that in there for 2. Now it's gonna be 81 to 70. Battier with already 7 points. Make that 9 for Battier today. And it's now 83-70. Dennis Rodman gonna pass it over to Joe Johnson. Excuse me, Vinny Johnson. Joe Johnson was on the 99-00 Raptors. So now Vinny Johnson has possession of the basketball. Going to pass it over to Mark Aguirre. Gets that in there for 2. And the Heat are going to take a timeout. All right, LeBron James is your player of the game for the Miami Heat. I am going to explain the numbers after the game, but right now there is 1 minute and 38 seconds left. Each team only has 1 timeout remaining. Rodman gets that in there for 2. Now it's 94-78. DWade going to pass it over to James. James losing the basketball. Dumars is going to pick it up for the Pistons. And it's now going to be 94-80. So now DWade with 21 points. And Dumars with 13. They have similar statistics today. And there is a foul on Dennis Rodman. So now this means that LeBron James is going to go to the free throw line. He gets that in there. It's now 97-80. So with 1 minute 17 seconds to go, they're going to pass it over to Isaiah Thomas. So now Isaiah Thomas going to pass it over to Bill Laimbeer and then Joe Dumars. I pass it over to Laimbeer, gets it in there. Now it's 97-82. Gonna use Mario Chalmers and then some Wade. And Wade knocks a 3 for the Heat, and it's now 100-82. And there's now 58.7 seconds to go, and Isaiah Thomas has possession. Gonna pass it over to Mark Aguirre, hitting a 3 for the Heat, for the Pistons, excuse me. And now LeBron James gets it in there for 2. Now it's 102-85. 47 points for LeBron James today, and 10 of which were in mid-range. So that is quite an accomplishment for LeBron James. Now DWade makes that dunk happen. 104-85. So the Heat are looking red hot in those red uniforms today. And they always tend to win when they wear these red uniforms, because from I think the first road game of this postseason, when we were facing off the 99-00 Raptors in Toronto, we had worn a red and we won in that episode. So Joe Dumars with possession, gonna pass it over, hits out of bounds. The Pistons maintain possession of it. It's now 106-87. Detroit is still thinking, oh, where are we going to pass this? There's only 21.7 seconds to go. After they score this in, there will be no shot clock left for the game. And we're going to use Ray Allen, number 34, for the Heat, knocking down a 3. And it's now going to be 109-89. So Isaiah Thomas with the possession of the basketball. Where's he going to take this direction to is the real question. 4 seconds left. Long. Going to pass it over to Setley. And the buzzer beater is in. The Heat win it 109-91 on the road here in Auburn Hills, Michigan. So the Heat win it. LeBron James, 47 points for him today. He is your player of the game. All right, LeBron James, 47 points, 5 assists, 5 steals, 3 dunks on the day, 5 for 5 from behind the arc. DWade, 26 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. He had 5 dunks on the night for him. Shane Battier with only 13 points and 4 assists. Ray Allen only had 9 points, 1 assist, and 1 steal, but he made all of his three-pointers, and Chalmers, 6 points, 7 assists, 1 steal for him. Now moving on to Detroit. Rodman with 20 points, 1 assist on the day with 3 dunks. Isaiah Thomas, 18 points, 9 assists, and 1 dunk on the day. Mark Aguirre had 14 points and 1 steal. Joe Dumars had 13 points, 5 assists, and 1 steal. So that wraps it up here in Auburn Hills, Michigan, about minutes away from Detroit. So without any further ado, I'm signing off. This is Keith Fustus. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.